What's up guys, today we're going to be doing a little comparison video. Today I do these like every year, but I'm going to be talking about my experience with the older Galaxy phones versus, the S24 Ultra, the newest Galaxy phones, and just answering some common questions I get. So I do have comparisons. I have a lot of comparisons on each of these phones that I do. So we got the Note 10 Plus, the S20 Ultra, the Note 20 Ultra, the S21 Ultra, and the S22 Ultra. I don't consider the S23 to be, an older phone. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about this and just kind of go down the line here. So I think the last time we did this, I had the Note 9, but you guys know the Note 9 is just way too old, to be in this comparison now. The Note 10 Plus, and I would say the S10 Plus is still a popular phone that I get quite a few questions about. But yeah, the Note 10 Plus is very popular, so I do still make videos on this from time to time. Let's go ahead and talk about this so we can kind of see the design language here and Samsung, taking things out and putting things, implementing things here. So a lot of people say the phones have not, they haven't really changed the phones that much, and definitely it really depends. If you are like a tech enthusiast or something like that, then you'll say there's a massive difference between the Note 10 Plus and the S24, and you'd be right. But also, if you're like an average person, if you watch the comparison that I did, you'd be like, that's not enough for me, right? Because a lot of people, they saw a lot of similarities between, the oldest phone here, the Note 10 Plus, versus the S24 here. So if we just look at the design of these phones, so what's interesting is that Samsung completely got rid of the Note series. So, we don't have the Note series anymore, but what they really got rid of was the S series, right? And let me explain that, because I know you guys are saying this is the S24. They got rid of the actual S series design language. So the S series would always have a more curved body style to it, and the Note series would always have, like a notepad, this boxy feeling. So Samsung completely got rid of that. They just merged the two together, and that was something that I wasn't a huge fan of, because these phones are, or the newer, the S24 Ultra and just the Notes in general, for people with smaller hands, it's really not that comfortable to hold, guys. The only thing that helps with me is like putting like a little case on the phone. It kind of helps with those sharp edges right here. And the phone is it's a wide phone too, right? So it's not the most comfortable phone to hold, is always one of my biggest complaints. But again, if a lot of people might not have that problem, right? And then what we have here is the design language has, I don't think, really changed that much. If you look at the Note 10 Plus here, what's happening is the cameras just got bigger. If you really look at it from, an aesthetic point of view, they both still kind of look the same. It's just the cameras are bigger. Samsung moved to the titanium design, but again, the titanium design, it's not really a big deal. To me, it does scratch a little bit easier as well too. The phone has also become thicker as well. But again, you can see the Note 10 Plus is still a really nice looking phone. So you can just see how much the design has not changed that much. And even when you look at the front of these devices here, the Note 10 Plus still looks a lot similar. Samsung completely got rid of the flat displays as well too, which we'll talk about. Also, I think the biggest difference with the displays here is that Samsung actually got rid of the curved displays here. So they went completely flat. So, that's interesting. But you guys can see just how similar a phone from, I believe, 2019 looks to 2024. So the reason why I cover a lot of these older flagships, because what you'll see is that they've taken a lot of features out. So with the Note 10 Plus and something like the S10 Plus, the S10 Plus had a headphone jack and SD card support. The Note 10 Plus has a SD card support, the S20 and the Note 20 Ultra. It's a very popular thing, and I'm even always shocked when people, they come to me and they really hold on to the phone strictly because of the SD card support. Which it is definitely a good deal. I mean, you can go on eBay and get 512 gigabyte card for little to nothing, like a couple bucks, right? And yeah, so I definitely do understand that for people who take a lot of videos, you may download a lot of content on your phone, so it definitely does make sense here. Now, this is another commonly asked question here, is there a big difference in speed on these devices here? So I always say this, and it shocks a lot of people that are new to the channel, but even the Note 10 Plus here, if you look at like the score difference with the S24 Ultra here, so if we look, we can see there's a big score difference with the single core, and also the multi-core is just, you know, it's even a bigger difference, right? There is not a real speed difference when it comes to using these phones for the average person. So it's just that the Note 10 Plus is still a very smooth phone. So yes, on paper, like looking at the specs, the newer phones are faster, but when you're realistically like using the phone, it's not that the Note 10 Plus is laggy by any means. So even if you're like launching games, it's still, everything still feels relatively smooth here. So they feel like they open up the same. The biggest difference you'll notice with like something like the Note 10 Plus is it doesn't have 120 hertz, but then when we move on to something like the Note 20 Ultra and stuff like that, then it gets even, you know, it's even a bigger or a less noticeable difference here. So something like with the Note 20 Ultra, it feels identical in terms of speed. Yeah, so I would say unless you're like a power user and you're doing intense stuff on your phone, you will virtually feel no difference. That's why a lot of comments are saying, I don't see a difference if you upgrade it from like a Note 20 to the S24. Yes, you will not really feel a difference in terms of the quality of the speed, because these are flagship phones. So even the older phones, they're meant to last a very long time. The chipsets at the time were very, very powerful, and they're still going to be powerful till this day. So you'll see a big difference, I think, in terms of gaming performance. But when we're talking about your own web browsing, scrolling around, opening applications, there's almost no difference. You really won't notice a difference. Like, I think the biggest thing you'll probably notice in terms of launching apps is probably like opening up like games. The S24, look, yo, every time I do that, the other one launches faster. You saw that the Note launched faster. So there's virtually no difference when it comes to performance. So if we look at gaming performance here, so for something like the S24 Ultra here, and this is why I tell people always, you know, consider an older flagship if you're like a gamer on a budget. Because now this phone has really good settings for PUBG. As you can see, we got Ultra Extreme, which is 120 frames for PUBG, but you don't really, it depends. Like I said, if you are like an extreme competitive player, then yeah, that's a decent upgrade. But even if we look at something like the Note 10 Plus, it's still able to play PUBG at HDR Extreme at 60 frames. And then the rest of the phones are able to play PUBG at HDR Extreme as well, Extreme Plus. So these are able to play PUBG at 90 frames, which is pretty good considering that, again, you can find an S21 Ultra for, you know, $300 and then use refurbished marketplace. So this is why I always say, you know, if you're not like an extreme gamer, you can easily competitively play PUBG on these older flagships still well at 90 frames. But yeah, so that's definitely one thing that I like to always tell people, and these will always or pretty much have better settings than most you know, older or mid-range phones for the most part. We do have some phones from like Xiaomi and stuff like that, but like compared to like a Galaxy A55, 54, all of these older flagships actually play PUBG better and most games better. Now, to touch on the displays throughout the years, you can see that the biggest change that they've done here is actually just making the displays brighter and flatter. So besides that, it's not really a big difference from, like I said, if you look at the oldest phone, the Note 10 Plus. The Note 10 Plus, as you can see, it's not as bright and it's a curved display, but the Note 10 Plus is still 1440p. But if we look at something like the Note 20 Ultra, or we look at the S22 Ultra, it's not that big of a difference. My favorite display is still the S21 Ultra. It's still fairly bright and it's way easier to hold as well too, because it's not as boxy. And yeah, so display wise, you would think that, you know, it would be a big difference all these years, but it's really not that big of a difference. Like I said, it's very small changes that they do, you know, over the years, right? So really just better brightness in direct sunlight, and then it's flattened out. But all of these phones have a 1440p display. Now with the older Galaxy phones like the S20 and the Note 20, Samsung did something kind of weird that year. You can only use the 120 Hz at 1080p on those phones. And then as we got to the S21 Ultra and up, then, you know, that was kind of fixed, right? But yeah, very interesting. You can see not a massive display difference. So that's why a lot of people, when they pick up, you say like a Note 20 Ultra and an S24 Ultra, like, oh, they kind of look the same, feel the same. Now, camera-wise is where I think there is a big upgrade coming from the Note 10 Plus or the S20 or anything below that. I think it's actually a pretty big upgrade. The S24 and the S23, even the S22, they do a really good job. Samsung has really gotten a lot better with zoom photography as well too. So the 5 times and 30 times look absolutely amazing on this phone. It's really, really impressive. The camera improvements. Video has also really improved over time. The low light has improved over time as well too. So I would say it's a good upgrade if you are, you know, have a Note 10 Plus, S20, even a Note 20 Ultra. If you take a lot of low light shots, the newer phones, I would say S22 Ultra and up, they do a much better job at handling low light shots. The video is better. As far as stills, it's still like if you're in good lighting, you can still get a really good shot out of the Note 10 and the S20, Note 20 really easily. But all right, so using the oldest phone and the newest phone, the S24 and the Note 10 Plus, you guys can see the difference there. You do have a little bit more detail, of course, on the Note or the S24 Ultra. And the Note 10 Plus, it doesn't look that bad. So, you know, like I was telling you guys, and here's a 2 times shot. You can definitely see the detail there because of the lens on the S24. But like I said, you still pretty much get a good shot out of the Note 10 Plus. Now, if I turned the lights off, then you guys would see a big difference. You guys would see a lot of detail being lost in the Note 10 Plus, and it'll be a little bit softer feeling as well too. So I think pretty good camera improvements, but like I said, it's very situational. All right, guys, we got each speaker at max volume. Note 10 Plus. That was the S20. So definitely an improvement with the S20 and the Note 20 over the Note 10 Plus for sure. S21. Very similar to the last two, the S22. Yeah, the S22 Ultra speakers are not terrible, but they just don't sound as good. They're not, the bass is just not there, or as loud as the S21 or the Note or S20. It's kind of on par with like the Note 10 Plus kind of. So what's really cool is that you can hear an immediate difference with the S24 Ultra speakers. Samsung made a big improvement here. They sound really, really good. I think the S24 and 23 are excellent sounding speakers. You can really tell the difference. Yeah, just the bass and the clarity and the volume of it. Really, really impressive. So let's talk about software. So this is a big thing here. So Samsung gave the S24 extended software support. So I believe it's like 7 years of major OS updates, which is very impressive. And that's probably like one of the best things about buying a new phone from like Samsung or Google. So I believe it is 7 years. And then also the S21 Ultra gets Android 15. The S22 Ultra has a few more updates. The Note and S20, the last major OS update was Android 13, One UI 5.1, and the last one for the Note was, what was it, Android 12. As far as software, it's really not that much different. The One UI hasn't really changed that much. The biggest thing that you will notice here is that the AI stuff is, I think, going to be really big in the future. Let me turn brightness down here. It's going to be really big in the future. So that's one thing to note. That's probably like the biggest software thing, is you get these AI features now on here. And they are pretty cool, very useful. Like the circle to search thing is something that, I use sometimes. The voice recorder, the live transcription, stuff like that. Samsung Notes and stuff, real-time translation. So there's quite a bit of cool things with the AI. But Samsung brought the AI features to the S22 Ultra, and the S21 only got one AI feature. That was the circle to search. And of course, the other ones didn't, get anything. Not getting any more updates. Only security patches for right now. The Note 10 Plus is not getting anything. So software wise, the newer phones are gonna last a really long time. But as far as like the actual software experience, it's really not that much different, even coming from the Note 10 Plus. All right, so let's talk about battery life. So this is an area where Samsung hasn't really made a great improvements until, I would say, the S23 and 24. The S23 and 24 have excellent battery life. It is really, really good screen on time with these phones. Now, what's interesting is that the One UI 6.1 update really helped the S22 Ultra's battery life. It's actually much better when it comes to standby time now, which is really impressive. Now, the rest of the phones, the battery life is just kind of average, okay? Even if these were all new phones, like the S21 Ultra and down, if they were new phones, they still would just have, when they first came out, it was just average battery life. So that's definitely a cool thing if you really care about battery life. The newer phones are definitely better when it comes to battery life. And surprisingly, the S20 Ultra has really, really good battery life. It's kind of an exception. If you guys watch the battery drain test I did, it's really strange. But yeah, so that's just a little wrap up to kind of wrap up what Samsung's been doing over the years. And let me know you guys' thoughts on, are you going to keep your old flagship? Are you going to upgrade? Let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.